challenges here now.
Everyone.
Maoli, I'm better than you. Eh?
Good morning, David. Good morning, David. If you can hear me, I want to see if you can share your screen for the presentation.
All right, let me see whether I could share my screen. Yes. Is that right?
Yes, yeah. Okay, so you can go off when the time is there.
Okay, so let me stop sharing.
Scanners.
Cool. Are we good?
Yes. So good morning, everyone. Everyone who is already on board. We are waiting for some few members to join. I've fully seen STK. That is a solar tuna kaba. We are expecting other few districts to join so that we can start. So it's already 10 o'clock, but I can see from our list, we are not having the full house. We will give ourselves 5 minutes to start the program. In the course of the program, if your network goes off, we are streaming the meeting live on Facebook. That is www.facebook.com/Gasip Ghana. If there's for any reason you are not able to join back because of network challenges, you can surely check how the meeting is going on the Facebook link. Thank you.
And that's what.
For the few people joining in, we want to start the meeting at 10:05. Just waiting for a few people to set up so that we can start. On our side, we are fully ready to start. Thank you. Okay, good morning. Good morning, everyone. It's 10:05 and we want to start the program. As I indicated at the beginning, the meeting is also streamed live. So in case you go live, you go off, you can join on the Gasip Facebook to see or participate in the meeting. We are going to have a short meeting like we did last month. This is a virtual session where we share information with regards to activities happening in Gasip. Today's meeting, we are dedicating it to the agroforestry activity. And the main agenda for the day is basically, we are going to have 4 items to handle. The first 15 minutes will be given to the consultant of the agroforestry intervention, where he will be updating us on the status of implementation. After that, we will give the opportunity to fill 1 or 2, depending on time availability, some beneficiaries to share their experience with us. And then after that, Gasip will take over and then share with all of us the completion and the handing over activities that I believe most of you are aware of. And then we will open up for any feedback and close. We are hoping to have this meeting in 1 hour, within 1 hour period. So without much ado, I will want one of my colleagues to say a prayer for us to start the meeting. So if I still have Smiler with us, if you can pray with us. I have a feedback that somebody is not having sound at his end. Abubakar Mohammed, please check your sound well because the sound is working. Smiler, if you can share a prayer with us to start the meeting.
Thank God for bringing us together, and then we pray for a successful session and whatever discussions that we will come out with or commitment that we come out with, He will give us the wisdom to follow it through and have a successful implementation. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim ghayril maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin. Amen. Over.
Amen. Thank you, Smiler, for the prayers. So we'll go straight away to INEC to, in the next 15 minutes, share with us what we have been going through in the last 10, 11 months with him and also with the district. So David, please take over and share with us what has happened in the last 11 months. So after David's presentation, we will open up for feedback, and then we will go straight to some sharing of experience from the farmers. David, you can.
Okay. Good morning to everyone. Thank you very much for taking time to join the meeting today. So basically, we are just going to go through some of the few things we've been doing together. This has been a more collaborative effort from all of us. So
David, please unmute yourself.
All right, sure.
You can go on.
Right. Okay, so yes, like I was saying, this is a more collaborative effort from all of us, and so this is just an update on the things that most of you probably know already. But then, for the purpose of a group, let's go through together. Right. So this is basically the people behind the work that we've been doing. Today, we are going to be talking about how that we perform, the outcomes, some challenges, and recommendations. So the scope of work was to establish nurseries in 20 districts, 40 communities, training for 800 people, so 760 farmers, 40 community members, review and submit technical assessments of existing nurseries, identify operational and other challenges, and so build capacity of farmers to be able to own the nurseries. So these are some of the things that we've been doing in the past 11 or so months. So the first phase of the project was to, of course, prepare our training materials and then conduct technical assessments of the existing nurseries and new nurseries that needs to be established. And then the second phase was to undertake the training. So the training, like we knew, were in part. The first part was to have the theoretical classroom work and then the field-based work, and then also to take up post-training follow-ups and grafting. So that's what have been taking place. So these are, we visited all the 40 communities to look at the areas that have been designated for the nursery to see whether they are well drained, whether they are close to home, whether it requires fencing, and then whether there's water available for use and so many other things. And afterwards, we were able to make recommendations and see there are some few places that we recommended that the area ought to be changed so that we could get the success that we all require. Right. So, 800 participants, in 5 regions have been trained. So we first did the launching which was held in Tamale at the Modern Hotel. And we had about 5 districts participating in that launching. After that, we had a district level launching and then training at the same time. We've gone ahead to do the cashew nursery establishment. So we also done the grafting. As part of the training, we did a business management, bookkeeping, and then sustainability as well, and so on and so forth. And then we are still preparing the final technical report. So these are the issues that we've discussed in pictures. So this is the project launch, which was held in Modern Hotel. I believe some of you, if you look critically, you may see yourselves in the pictures that are being shown. So this was the project launch in Tamale. And then these were the theoretical training on cashew.
Yes.
Edmond, do you have any?
No, you go on. I think there was a feedback from you go on.
Right. All right. So we went ahead to each district to undertake the training on nursery establishment, sustainability training, marketing, and so on and so forth. So the slide on my left is actually on how we could market our product. So we went through all the phases together. All right, so this is all part of the training we did. So over here, the slide on my left, see that we did what we call the floating test to see if we get the seeds, how we could test the viability of the seeds, and so on and so forth. Yeah, so these are all, so marketing and sustainability, which were all done as part of the training. So we also went through the potting. This is part of the field-based activities that are taking place. So getting the soil and then putting the soil in the pot and then arranging them in a way that is okay for the nursery establishment. And this was carried out in all the communities under the project. So these are some of the interesting things that we see when you go around through the communities. People using straws as fence and shade. People using existing tree that provide shade for them. So these are all part of the things that were used. Other people were using blocks for their fencing, and then sticks. As you can see on the slide. So luckily, we had a good germination success. So in the pictures, you see that initial germination pictures and then pictures when the seedlings were quite matured. Right, so now let's do some statistics and see that these were the total polypods that we are able to seed. When I say seed, it means that we're able to put the seeds in the polypods, or we're able to plant the seeds, if that is more simple to understand. And then the number that successfully germinated. So if you just look at the graph on the screen, districts like Kintampo North were able to successfully seed 26,740, and we had 25,965 germinating. Nanton did them marvelously well. So today I've selected them to also share the experience, and I hope that after the Q&As, Suleimana from Nanton will share some few stuff with us. So they had 28,911 potted and seeded, and then 27,993 successfully germinating. And then Sunyani also did marvelous. Sunyani West, 26,500, and they had 22,000 successful. Jirapa, 25,000 468. They had 20,427 as being successful. East Gonja 2 also did well, 25,860. They had 20,100 succeeding. So yes, Mamprugu Maduri, excellent, 24,575. They had 23,612 also succeeding. So averagely, we were able to exceed the required number because we were only expecting 9,000 from each community, and so 18,000 from the districts. But then if you look at the numbers you have here, it means that most of us exceeded our target, and we need to commend all of you for the great work and the hard work that you put into this. Let's look at some of the outcomes. So overall, we're able to seed 441,524. And then we had success of 407,402. This, we were looking at 360,000 as overall output. So we had 407,402. That was way exceeding our output or our targets. And that's really, really commendable. Unfortunately, only 94,019 were successfully sold. So you look at what might have caused the poor patronage in the sales. So that is only about 10% of the seedlings have been sold as at now. So this is grafting. So the grafting also went through stages. For most communities, you got a chance to go through the scion collection. So we went to see how we collect the scions from existing trees, and then went through the other grafting process. So the splitting the rootstock, and then tying and doing every other things. So these are some of the issues in the pictures. So you can see the woman seriously trying to tie the scion to the rootstock, and this gentleman doing same. Right. So, like I said, a lot of you participated and were very serious about it, and that's really, really commendable. All right, so let's do some statistics about the grafting. Unfortunately, the bars in red are the numbers that were successful. The gray bars are the numbers that were grafted. So Japa had 800 grafted, only 7 succeeded. You look at Nandom had 675 successful. Sunyan West did the most marvelous. They had all the grafted seedlings, 340, all of them being successful. I don't know the trick, but then Sunyan West did marvelous on that. North Gonja had 606 grafted, 257. That's also very significant. The Sene West had 500 grafted, 160 surviving. Atebua Mantin didn't have any of them succeeding, unfortunately. The Chima had 13. And so there are a lot of factors that accounted for this, and we will just explain some of them in the coming slides here. So we were able to graft 7,036, and they had 1,467 surviving, as you can see in the graph on the screen. Right, so this is a graph of the materials that were supplied. We had 40 communities, 36 got fence, 28 with shade, and then all of them also had the polytanks. 800 people trained, 416 of them were female, 384 males, and then 240 youth. These are just basic statistics. So some of the issues or challenges from the work is seen below. So the polyport distribution, there was deficiency in it. So we had some communities receiving far lower numbers than were expected, and others also having a little more than they were supposed to receive. So some communities had to improvise, or others also told me that they had to buy, from their group contributions and so on and so forth. So yeah, so there were delays in the delivery of soil and other materials, and so that also accounted for some of the troubles that we faced. Of course, the seeds also, all the materials, because I think that when the training was done, we made you understand that by December, you would have received almost all the things that would be needed for, but unfortunately that didn't happen. And so that caused a little trouble for all of us. The science didn't come at all. So we had to rely on other people's plantations to harvest and then buy some from other places where we could. And because this thing couldn't take place on time or at the time that they were supposed to take place, what happened was that in most places, the rootstock, were well grown or they were overgrown. And that made it very difficult for the grafting to be successful, because you need it to be a little tender so that you can do all the proper cutting and then be able to tie it where it's supposed to be tied. And so when it is overgrown, then it makes it very difficult for you to have the kind of sausage that is required. And that's what contributed to Atebubu and other places that recorded a very low success in the grafting. Yeah. The mounting of polytanks also, we had issues with it because a lot of the communities complained that the platform was too high, and so it made it very difficult to use the polytanks. And so maybe these are things that next time going forward we could look at. Then fencing materials came way too late, shading materials as well. So some communities had to beg other people who had existing fence to use. Places like Kumbungu had to borrow fence, and then when the farmers now wanted their fence, it was a problem. So pumping machines also came very late. And I think I have to commend Nanton because even when the pumping machine had not come, they contributed to get a vehicle to convey water into their polytanks for them so that they could start using. So that's really a good initiative and must be commended. Yeah. And then, of course, what we've seen is that there are difficulties in getting people to buy. There are a lot of reasons that could be accounted for it. One, because most of the seedlings were produced at a time where the farming season might have passed a little bit, and so it became difficult to link farmers to the appropriate seedlings to buy. And then, yes, whilst we waited for the grafting to take place, farming had already started, and so it also delayed. I think that the directive to sell came quite late, and by which time most farmers might have started working. And the inability to also link the district assemblies to help purchase the seedlings from the farmers as part of the Green Ghana Day probably also accounted for the low sales. And so we need to, going forward, try to link the communities, the district assemblies to procure the seedlings, and then to link the farmers or our farmers to the other commercial farmers within their districts to also patronize the seedlings or other projects that require seedlings. We need to be able to link and do so. And then we need to help publish the community nurseries on district assembly websites and notice boards and other platforms, community radios, so that it will be well known and then well patronized going forward. Yeah. So I will end here, and then my team are also available. If anybody have any questions, we would hear. Otherwise, after the questions, Justice from Sunyani West and then Suleimana from Nanton will share some experiences.
Yeah, thank you, David, for the presentation. I've already seen some comments in the chat room. Any other person can add up to the chat, and we will share that one and answer. I want to know if there are any question or clarification. Please, you can raise your hands, and I'll give you the opportunity to talk. Whilst we prepare for the feedback from the two farmers. David, please, what's the name? Who are those who will be talking?
So you have Suleimana from Nanton, and then Justice from Sunyani West will share some experiences.
Okay, so please, Suleimana and Justice, if you are online, let us know so that we can arrange for you to get in. But I want to see if you have any, David, please, you can go off your screen. You can stop sharing. If you have any comments from the members, if you have any comments, clarification, you can either write it or raise your hands, and then we will allow you to talk. I've seen Smiler. Is there something we want to share with us? Smiler?
Yes, I wanted to seek some clarification on the statistics he shared on both the germination and then the grafting. Yeah. You see on the germination, Yendi had 22,100 and only 13 germinated. He said that the communities were supposed to do 9,000. So each district was supposed to have a target of 18,000. But in this case, Yendi had 13,100, which was below the target. What accounted for the low germination in Yendi? And this activity is supposed to be replicated. Then the second one is on the grafting, which we had a very poor successful rate, especially about 5 districts recorded 0 success in the grafting from the statistics he shared. If you look at it from the initial discussion, it was that the grafted, what do you call it, cashew seedlings do better than the street ones that are not grafted and grafted seedlings. Now, going forward, they want to have to continue the process. He only mentioned in passing that there are several reasons for the poor success. What are the reasons? We need to know so that it will guide the future rollout of the activity.
Thank you. Thank you, Ismaila, for the 2 questions. I've seen a funnel. I'm sure it may be related to the Yendi one. Funnel, please, you can talk also.
Hi, good morning to all, and thank you. Thank you for this session. And I want to first address Mr. Sumale's question. I think in my understanding, it should rather be the other way around. Each community is supposed to nest 9,000 as indicated in the project. And at the end of the day, Yendi had 22,100. And so that should be a plus. That is what I think. That should be it. Because we exceeded the actual 18,000. That is what Yendi is supposed, or each district or MMD is supposed to achieve. Good. The other question that I want to put across is that some of the challenges. We realize that some of the bands, that is the belt, I'll call it, the rubber we use in tiring between the scion and the rootstock, were in fact of a difficulty. They were not cut into the right sizes. It was a long rope, which actually gave a kind of difficulty in trying to get the right size. And they were not all that, they were too flexible. And once you wind it, before you see it gets tied off. And the polypods were not of the same sizes. Some were longer and some were short. And so also another challenge there, and we have to take the time to be trimming some of them. Then again, another difficulty is there were no cicatiers. We were short of cicatiers, or they never existed at all within the grafting tools. And also, so those of us who already had some, we have to supply the few ones to the farmers, looking at the number that we're training at each community. Then, yeah, I think for now that is, yeah. Then the grafting knives, they were not they were not of good quality, to say, because these were fruit knives as indicated on the package. So they were very difficult to use, and we had some few accidents on the field. So next time I will suggest that some of these things we should consult also.
Okay, thank you, Fanel. I've seen the smaller hands again, but let me see if there's somebody else before. Yes. No, wait. Is there any hand? But before anyone talks, smaller wait.
Then again, Wellington boots. So these are my concerns and the issue I've also addressed. Thank you.
Thank you. Please, David, I trust you are also collating these other challenges that might not specifically be in the challenge that you mentioned. We will still discuss these challenges between ourselves and the consultants. But please, let's note that, like Fanel was saying, yeah, some of these challenges, we are sharing it here. And at the end of the day, the report that will be submitted by the consultant will be shared with the district to see how these challenges were, so that if there are any recommendation, most of the recommendation may not, unfortunately, may not be a Gasip recommendation now. But if we know that, let's say there was a delay, at least with the recommendation, or knowing that the time that Gasip brought something was a delay to the program, as farmers are going to take over, or as a district is going to supervise these farmers, we ensure that such delays are prevented to not have a similar situation in the coming years. I haven't seen a hand. I'll let Smiler talk for less than a minute so that I can also share the comments from the chat box. Smiler.
Okay. Yes, so I want to hear from the consultant whether what Fanel said represents.
Okay, don't worry. The consultant will. Yeah.
And then the issue of the 9,000 and the success rate is claiming, while we plan 22,000 and have 13,100. Which is low. So I want the consultant to give us what are the reasons and what lessons we can learn from going forward, so that next time they don't go and plant 22,000 and have more than 7,000 not germinating.
Okay, thank you, Smiler. David, please, can you pick up your statistics again for us to address the issues that are coming? There's another comment in the chat area that is still on the please, if you are not talking, please mute yourself for us. So there's another comment still on the statistics that says that I did a simple percentage analysis of the germination versus planted seed, and I got 92% germination. Please take a second a second look at the first pie chart. Maybe you can, David, you can start with the first pie chart. Somebody is making a comment on that one. Yeah, David. Okay, you are there.
Right. So what's the issue? Because we didn't do overall pie chart for germination sources. We did per district. So I don't know the point the person is trying to put across, whether the 92% that he had is a wrong figure or a right figure versus what. I don't know the benchmark he's trying to measure that with. But what we tried to do was to look at each district and the number that were seeded versus the number that's germinated. So I don't know if the person could clarify so that I know what I'm trying to find out.
Okay, now let's go to some specific. Yendi planted 22,000 and got 13. Is this a percentage, right?
That is what we have, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, this is likely, what percentage is this? This is like slightly above 50%. That's like almost 60%. I think apart from Yendi, if the numbers are right, apart from Yendi, what percentage is 60%? Okay, so Yendi got 60%. David, do you know, I think this is the outlier for all the districts. I mean, the 60% is the outlier. Can you, and yes, the fact is, yes, we wanted 18,000 seedlings from each of the districts. That's a target. Can we understand why a 60% as an outlier for Yendi? Was there any particular thing that led to this?
Well, I think that like 60% is way within the expected viability from seeds, you know. And I think that this is something that I've personally discussed with you, that if you plant, sometimes you are not going to get 100% viability. Okay, so if you have 60%, I mean, it's a very acceptable percentage for seeds. That because some of these seeds might have been stored for a while, and the longer that they are stored, the lower the viability. You know, that's why we do these viability tests. I don't know, because this is something that we taught all of them to undertake the viability test, and then to know that whatever they are planting, at least it's past the viability test. You know, if you do that, then you are likely to get more success rate. But if you just pick the seeds as have been supplied and then plant, chances are that you may have these things happening, because if the seeds have been stored for a long time, then most of them might have lost its viability. But I think in this context, 60% is still really acceptable. So it's not out of place at all.
Okay. David, we will need to do this later on behalf of the district. Yes, you see, I call it an outlier because it is. The seeds were a stock, and we may have to check the viability of the seeds, because normally if you do the viability test and it's 90%, when you do this, you should be close to that percentage. So it should mean that maybe when they did the viability test, it was that lower. And as agriculture farmers, we know that when you are dealing with a viability or germination test of 60, you will probably do something different to achieve a little beyond. But because it's an outlier, we need to look at it well. If, I mean, most everybody or close to everybody was getting that one, then we may assume that it was a seed that was like that. So we let's have a second look at specifically Yendi. Let me see if I remember other comment. Or David, if you wrote it down and you want to pick other comments from the two questions.
I think what somebody was talking about, the grafting sources also, and saying that you want to know what might have accounted for that. I think I did mention some of the reasons in my presentation. One has to do with that at the time that the grafting was taking place, the root stock for most communities were quite, grown. So there should be a certain timelines within which because once germination takes place, within 40 days, you should have undertaken your grafting. So at that time, the root stock are quite still tender enough to be able, because you are doing cutting, you want to get certain materials to tie your distance, your science with. So if it's hard, chances are that even it increases accidents, because then it's no longer as tender as, to be able to cut through. So these are some of the reasons that might have accounted for it. Of course, we did not get the certified science, for use. So we have to rely on science, just to, undertake this exercise. And so we cannot say that the science that we had are certified from the right source and is good enough for the exercise. So, I mean, it's just a game of chance. If you pick a science from anywhere and use, chances are that it may do well or may not do well. That's why for the grafting, I don't think that we have to be so hard on anyone, because the supplier could not supply the science for us at the time that was needed. And so we had to rely on community farms to just have a science for use. So these are
okay.
Part of the...
Yeah, David, please, can you go to the grafting graph? And then whilst you go to the grafting graph, Sunyane West, if you are there, I'll be pleased if you can, in the course of the meeting, share with us what you did to be able to get, for your grafting, to be able to get 100% grafted, surviving. We will be happy to hear from you what you did on that one. David, there are some comments there that I want you to take note. Either you answer them or add it to your point. So or we need to verify if even. So there's a comment like it also like the seed supply were also infected. So almost a lot of the ceilings were infected as well. Or it could be as a result of polished sheet that were not provided. I don't know the district that this person is coming from, but David, do you think?
I think that this person from STK. Yes. So is it STK? Everest from STK, right? Okay. Yeah. Yes.
So what do you say about this comment? Can we say that the seeds, in seeing a situation where we are getting over 80% germination, is this something that we can accept that the seeds were infected?
Well, of course, there could be a possibility that some of the seeds were actually infected, as he's trying to.
Can we see if it says TK, let's see their germination to see whether this assertion can be. Please, Ibrahim, Musa, and Steven, if we can mute your mic for us.
Okay.
STK had 19,500 germinating. So I think they did 20,000. They had 19,000 germinating. So and that was a very good percentage.
Very good. Yes. Almost 90%. David, so I don't want to, maybe there's something else that maybe Everest could do or explain later. We are doing this to ensure that we don't take a wrong impression of either the consultant's output or a supplier output or even Gasip output. Because if the seeds were infected, I don't believe that you could get a 90% germination unless you did so much something well. I've seen Everest hands up. Maybe you can explain to us. Everest, you can talk. Unmute yourself and explain for us. Everest, you can unmute yourself and talk. Okay, so
good morning.
Good morning, Everest.
Yes, the infection I'm talking of is not as a result of germination. You can have seeds germinating, but if it was germination I was talking of, maybe I would have been talking of dormancy. But there was germination, and going forward, we saw that a disease was appearing, which was we're having some kind of yellowy spots on the leaves, and the apical growth parts were dying. So per the analysis, infection could be as a result of many factors. It could be insects as a result of sucking insects transmitting the disease, or it could be a fungal disease. So per my analysis, what I am arriving closer was like a fungal disease, which was an anthracnose. So if it was anthracnose, it means it could have, the infection could have been from the ground, because polishes were not supplied to spread on the ground before we arrange the poly bags. So as a result, as the seedlings were growing, the tap roots fast pierce through to the ground. So maybe it could be at that point that the infection was, they got the infection. So, but the germination was okay. There was no issue with germination. It's just that when they were growing in at 2 weeks, around 2 weeks, that we started seeing those symptoms of diseases. So I don't know. That is my comment, please.
Okay, well talking. I mean, well understood now. Okay, I also suggest that choose. Okay, once again, David, other comments that you may need to look at it and see which of them should come into our reports or needs to be referred to. The issue of Sion, I think, like I said, if Sunyani West, I haven't seen any hand now. There's a comment from Sisala, East. Please, Doc, my humble appeal is for the inclusion of Sisala in that. Okay, so it's more about new. Okay, so Sisala East, yes, we will look at it. We are trying to resolve the challenges that we are facing with the 20, and then see how we can include or support other districts. I have a comment, maybe you come closer. From Abubakar Sharif, maybe you talk before you come. It's already 11. Okay, so you can talk. Abubakar Sharif, you'll be the last person to hear your comment. If there are any comment, please write it in the chat box, because my 1 hour is already running. But I'll let Abubakar Sharif make his comment. Then we can allow the two farmers to say, to talk. Abubakar Sharif. If Abubakar Sharif is unable to talk, Justice, and then...
Hello.
Okay, Abubakar.
Hello.
Yes, you can talk.
Can you hear? Am I on air?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yeah, the model for the agroforestry, I believe, is for the business aspect. The farmers, they produce, they sell, they make some profit. And government is also supplying seeds. Money is being pumped into greening Ghana. They produce the seedlings and it's distributed free. Is it possible we can link these two so that the nursery practitioners, they can be producing and supplying the seeds to government at a fee, instead of, I don't know where government contracts the seeds. So this is my concern, the business model, which we're able to link the greening Ghana to our intervention, so that we have challenges having the sales.
Yeah, thank you, Sharif. Yes, I think I'm trying to rush us so that we discuss together one of the major challenges we face. As you can see from the presentation, the two major challenges that we had was the grafting issue and then the sales. And if you look at the sales, it comes to the doors of the district. And I want us to run through this and then discuss that one. I don't want to start that discussion right now. I want us to get there so that we handle the sales or the marketing aspect. The grafting, we've indicated some of the challenges that might have led to the low numbers. But also, if even you look at the low percentage, depending on the number of seedlings that were grafted, it may not be so much of a concern now if farmers were able to learn the grafting. Because if farmers were using 20 for the training and then 80% didn't do well, maybe if they have used 100 or 200, it would have been a different analysis. So let's run quickly and then we can tackle these two challenges. Do we now have Justice and then David, who is the second person, Justice and Sulemana. I've seen Abdul Mumin. Sulemana, please, are you the one to share what happened at your district?
Yes, please.
Okay, you can talk.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning.
Oh, I'm Sulemana Abdul Mumin. Yes. I'm representing the district. And then I would like to share my experience on the program. And then first of all, about the nursery, we're able to provide our own fence on time. We use rented fence. We're able to finish it on time. And we used 1 week to pot. And then based on the germination, we did our germination test and we got to realize that the seeds not all that good. So what we did was that we did the floating method. Those floated was about 30% of the seedling. So you get to know that the seeds was not all that quality. So what we did was that we mixed it, and then 1 week time, we use the rest of the seedling seeds and then bury them on the soil, because we get to know that the seeds, the quality of the seed was not all that good. So when we bury it, 2 weeks time, and then we check on the ones, those who are not germinated, we remove it and then refill the sprouted, we're able to get a good listener. So we nursed 20,695, and then survived germinated one was 18,561. So that's our germination percent. What do you call it?
Okay, Sulemana. Thanks for sharing what you did. I'm glad you are attesting to the percentage that was presented by the consultants. I will admonish other districts to also look at what has been presented in terms of our numbers. If there's any discrepancies, please you can let us know so that we are assured of having a single data at the district level and also at the level of Gasip. I will move to Justice. Justice, if you can also share with us what happened at your place. Is Justice with us?
No, I think I was told he's having difficulty connecting. I don't know whether he's been able to connect.
Okay. Yeah, that is fine. I think the single person will do. I've seen 3 hands.
But then Maybe just to say one thing. I think about the Sunyani West. They as at now have had 100% sales. So that's what I really wanted to bring it out. That I mean, what they were able to do to sell.
Is Sunyani director online? Sunyani is. Or the officer, is there? Do we have any officer director from Sunyani West online? Okay, so no, he's not. We will try to get him to be able to tell us. I've seen 3 hands online. I've exceeded my 1 hour. I want to, please don't put your hands off. I want to still share some few things and then come back to the hands that are online. If you can also write the information in the chat room, it will help us so that we can at least still not far exceed our time. Okay, so David, thank you very much for the presentation and the effort you took. What we can see as a major challenge in terms of the administrative challenge on the side of the project, which was more in terms of the delays in delivery, are things that the solution or the recommendation is straightforward. If subsequently, if DDAs or any project doing this one is able to get things on time, then the challenges that happen or the impact of the delays will be resolved. When it comes to the issue of the grafting, like I said, yes, certified grafting science would have been the best and would have given us a different results. But the challenge is leaving these farmers, leaving these FBOs, with what we undertook, if they were not able to get science that can give them good percentage as districts or as partners, we need to look at how this can be done. And David, the consultants, this is thrown back at you to do the consultation on what can be done, not just indicating that, yes, get the scion or get a scion in time, but looking at the thing on the ground. We are training these people to be by themselves, not a project buying scion for them maybe on time, but as business group, farmer group, nurseries, what can they do to ensure that either they are getting scion on time or if they are using other routes? I think for us, the reason why we were using even the polyclonals was for any eventuality like what had happened, to the point that if even things delay, in this case, they can still sell the polyclonals maybe close to the scion or grafted seedlings. So David, what I want you to do is to do further consultation at the district level to give us the best or a better recommendation with regards to the scion. I will say the same for the marketing, but I want to hear some 1 or 2 directors telling us, in fact, I'm taken aback with the percentage of the marketing. I thought we were higher than what we are looking at. I only thought, I think it was Myeon that had a big issue with the marketing, not knowing that there was a big issue in all the districts. So if directors, or even not just directors, or other officers on board can help us, I want two people to help us with what can be done in plenary before maybe there will be other further consultation. Okay, I've seen a new hand, Abdul Karim. If it's this is on the marketing, please, you can go ahead.
All right, thank you very much. For the case of Kumbungu, lately we were actually encouraging our farmers to actually purchase them and then plant on their own fields. But we saw that it was not yielding the desired results. So we are now in talks with our district assembly so that they can acquire them at least and supply to farmers under the PED project. So that is what my director is actually in talks with the district assembly to see what they can do about it. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks for this recommendation. Is there any other? We are still on the marketing. Please, we are currently handling the marketing. I've seen Sampari. Sampari, if you are, okay, before Sampari, I've seen Simon. If it's on the marketing, please, you can go ahead. Director, we can't hear you. Your mic is still off, Simon.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yeah, my colleague from Kumbungu said, we are still making arrangement with the district assembly, but you know, the payment is not going to be offhand, and that is a big challenge we are also facing under the PED. However, we were able to link them with other districts, one of the sites, and they couldn't take, that district couldn't take all, they just took some small quantity. And we are still listening up with other districts so that if any of them is needing under the PED, they can come and pick it for the reason. However, we have asked some local farmers to also purchase, but that is on a low speed. So that is how far we have done with the nursery because of the timing. If it was earlier, if it was during the early part of the season, people would have purchased a lot. It wouldn't have even reached the distance. So as the presenter said earlier on, it was the timing. And that's why we are facing the marketing problem now. But if we're able to also preserve it up to the following year, which is, though it will be a big challenge, but it will go fast. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Sampari, please, if it's on the marketing, you will be the last one, and then I'll move to the next step. And then I still have Francis and Fanel. I'll come to you. Please don't just hold on for me. Sampari.
Hello, do you hear me?
Yes.
In my rounds, I went to Tanoso. And the leader there said that the marketing was a challenge because the government free seedlings were around. That's why people are not buying. Is that the case for everybody?
I think it's the case for everybody.
Okay. Yeah. So
in my case, it's not the case because they have this year the cashew, the PET. They have somebody is yet to do that.
Please, who said it's not the case? Can you mention the district for us? Kintampo. Okay, Kintampo. Okay. Yes. So last week there was a note that was shared for the completion event, and there was something that was added to the note, which talks about the role of the district in all this intervention. And I don't want to just give me the opportunity to recast that the marketing of the seedlings when we were starting this whole activity was something that we planned for the district to help us in this. There's a big challenge if Gasip will have to facilitate the marketing. I've seen in the notes somebody say that maybe the project should facilitate the marketing through the Green Ghana exercise at the national level. Yes, we can do that, but you know that on the grounds, the assembly is responsible for the Green Ghana. And even though we might not have anticipated it in this way, if I believe that if majority of the district have done initial consultation and consistently done that, we probably would have found a different, we'll be at a different level now. Let me to say that when it comes to the marketing, unfortunately, it wasn't the role of the consultants. The district to do that for us. It's getting late now, and I'm sure if we all understand, without proper preservation, in the next few months, it will be very difficult to market the ceilings we have. I'm sure by November, by December, if even we are giving to people for free, they may not want to come and take it. If there's any way to sell or market the ceilings we have now within the next month, if even is done at a cheaper price, it will be good so that at least the ceilings or majority of the ceilings would have been purchased for the farmers to be assured that next year, if you are going to do it, there will be some output of it. If we don't manage this well, what is going to happen is farmers will feel reluctant to do the same thing and have the seedlings there looking at them. Another thing that I want us to also look at is the planting of some of the seedlings by the farmers. So whilst marketing is a challenge, let's also let the farmers know that they are also supposed to plant some of these seedlings. We will be having a feedback on the number of seedlings that are left in the upcoming online updates so that we can know what to do or how to account it. As of now, the percentage of what marketed seedlings is a poor manifestation of what we have done. Actually, it's a failure, for lack of a better words. If we are going to do this, then in terms of producing gone beyond our targeted of 360 seedlings to almost 400 seedlings, and then we can't market it. It means that somebody has failed us. And I want to leave this on the door of the district. Let's do something in the coming month. We past the coming month, we are totally lost what we are doing together. And it's going to affect us as a district and onto the farmers. Now, I want to come back to the project closure, which has been shared with all the districts. So I believe we can see my presentation now. We have indicated that in the next 2 weeks or on 14 September, we are going to have, just like we launched the event, have an event called a closure event to be able to come to the close of the training, and then for better word or lack of better word, graduate the trainees that we have trained them in the last few months. The main aim of this event is to present the farmers with a certificate that can motivate them to know that they have gone through a training, a 10-month training, but also to get the buy-in of the assembly and other stakeholders for the purpose of sustainability. I'm not a happy person after this meeting because of the marketing, but let's try and see how we can involve the possible stakeholders to be able to, at least within the short period left, see how the seedlings that are produced marketed for the purpose of sustainability. Indeed, like we did for the first launch of the event, which was done in Tamale, our plan is to do the closure event in Jirapa. And this event will be attended by the consultants and the Gasip. We have shared a schedule where we want all the districts to also do similar events at their various locations. On the Monday, 12 September, we anticipate that Atebubu, Techiman, and Kumbungu will have a similar event where certificates will be presented to these farmers that we have trained. Apart from Techiman and Kumbungu, where Gasip and INEC representative will be participating in that event, Techiman will not have a representative from Gasip, but we want to encourage the district to hold a simple event to present the certificates to the farmers, but also arrange for the participation of other stakeholders. And when I say other stakeholders, we are talking about the assembly and then other people, potential marketers for the seedling. On the 12th September, we are looking at Solar, Wild West, Mio, and Yendi also having a similar event. And on all these, at these districts, Gasip or INEC will be participating in their events. Then on the last day, where the main event will be done, we anticipate that all the other districts will have a similar event at their various respective districts. And then Gasip representative will be at West Mampusi, and then Jirapa will be having INEC and also Gasip representative. Please, let's take this event serious, because like I said, we want to find another way to motivate the farmers, but also get the buy-in. We are losing it, but let's see if this will help us to at least sell a little more of the seedlings that are left. So like I said, we encourage all districts to bring on board the assembly and community leaders to organize this simple but memorable event for the farmers. If possible and available in your district, the district should invite other organizations in the district who are interested in the restoration of the environment or are interested in tree planting, including but not limited to GIZ, World Vision, Action Aid, Tree Aid, Cali Care Relief Services, EPA, Forestry Commission, among others. The event, like I said, will be attended by, depending on the location, by either Gasip or INEC representative. Let me indicate that, yes, there is no specific budget allocated for this event, but let's find a way or arrange for this to be done either at the community level or at the district level. In terms of how the event should be done, this is just a generic program that will be done at the in Jirapa, and we anticipate that it could be replicated in other districts. We can have an opening prayer, introduction of people who are invited. There will be a brief statement from these invited partners if they are there. There will be a statement or a speech from the agri director, and if the DCE or a representative of the assembly is there, we will share with you a statement from Gasip, which we want to be read to the farmers or to the participants of the meeting. And then the certificates can be presented to the farmers at the event. Then there will be a closing remark by the director of the district. Let me indicate some issue with budgeting based on the some questions that has come to Gasip. And for that matter, I want to address it so that we all be on the same page. For the district that were involved in the agroforestry, I'm sure you will be very much aware of this budget that was given to you and the monies that were given to you. There was a 500 that was allocated for the facilitating of the initial lunch that was done. There was a refreshment for that event of 800. There was a transport for trainee for the nursery for the lunch that was also allocated. I'm very sure that in all cases, this money has been spent. There was an attendance support of trainee of 16,000 Ghana cedis for the entire district, which means that 8,000 for each of the communities. There have been various discussions on how this money could have been spent or used, and I believe that now most of the money has been spent. And then there was a budget of 200 Ghana cedis for the certificate. and like has been told to all districts and to the finance team, Gasip is printing the certificates, and this will be shared. This will be distributed to the district for their presentation. So district should not print or don't need to print a certificate again. All the district will be having the certificate. And that is why if you haven't followed up with the names of the farmers, please ensure that you follow up today to confirm if the names of the farmers on the certificates are right. There was a question about when should attendance support for farmers end. This support, we know the program is already ending. So by this month, when we do as we plan for the closure event next month, this month we believe that all major activities under the agroforestry would have ended if it hasn't ended already. If there's still something to be done, activities that involves maybe some compensation by Gasip should be arranged to be closed by the end of this month. Actually, today, as we are talking. Then how should we account for the certificate? This question has also come. As I said, Gasip is printing the certificates, so retirement to Gasip should not include any expenditure on the certificate for obvious reason, because we are going to have you get the certificate printed by Gasip. This is what I want to share for now. I will now go to see the chat room, or if there are any comments, I will be happy to pick it up for us to finish the meeting. I've seen Fanel hands still up. Fanel, if it's something on the presentation that I did or earlier, because your hands was up, you can take the floor now.
Going to talk on it.
Yes, thank you once again, Doc. It's about the marketing and the graft success. So the marketing in Yendi, we took advantage of a platform we have for technical staffs and directors, and this was one point we inform colleagues in other districts that yes, Yendi has some polyclonal seedlings for sale, and so interested farmers and other officers who wants to establish plantations can consult with us. Then secondly, we also inform the farmers to also inform other farmers who will be interested in the cashew seedlings. So they are available, they are hybrids or polyclonals that they can also purchase for. Then we're also expecting the assembly to also liaise to buy from us or during this greening Ghana. But unfortunately, the greening Ghana has clouded the whole show, and those who are supplying also know their sources. So we are still on it, and we know come maybe next year we should be able to dispose of, link up with those who are supplying for the greening Ghana and be able to push ours through to be able to dispose of seedlings that will be at the nurseries. Then the issue about the success of the graft. We all have to come to bear that our farmers, some of them are first timers. Some of them are first timers, so the experience will not be there as compared to we, the trainers. So the low successes that we have is not very surprising. And we just have to, I understand we just have to take it that way. But going forward, once they build up, and we also try to give them a refresher training from time to time, I know the successes will be established. And then each of them will then now claim that, yes, yes, I'm a good grafter and I can do for cashew and others. I also want to inform you that my director is with me. We are all together here. Director Alhaji Zakaria is here. Unfortunately, he has lost his voice, so he's not able to talk much. So these are my point, or our point from the municipality.
Good morning, Doc. Good morning to everyone.
Good morning to Yendi. Good morning. Please, I've seen 3 hands. I want to know the hands that are going to talk so that we can assess our time. If there's something you want to talk about, please raise your hands or write in the chat room so that we can consider it. I want to go to Titus Kofi. I think Titus, Please mention your district when you are talking.
Okay, good morning to you all and good morning, Doc. Titus, I'm speaking from East Gonja. Yeah, I also want to just add something to the purchasing of the seedlings. With regards to our district, we were able to sell some, but later on we have to now go to the district assembly, then we'll negotiate with the MC and the coordinating director. Then they also agreed to our decision by coming in to purchase the seedlings so that the farmers can come in and pick it freely. So for now, that is what we have done as a district. We have negotiated with the district assembly, and they have also agreed that they will buy the seedlings from the two groups so that farmers within the municipality can come in and pick the seedlings at no cost. But the problem is they are suggesting that maybe next year, so far as the district assembly is always doing a program under PET, if we can give them the opportunity so that they will always purchase the seeds, then give it to the two groups so that the two groups will now raise the seedlings so that farmers can come in and pick it. With that one, it will be at a low cost to them rather than what we did this year. So that is what we have also done as a district, and we are on it yesterday that went and did the launching, and farmers have started picking the cashew seedlings since yesterday up to now. Thank you.
Thank you for your recommendation also and the plans you have. Abdul Mumin.
Can I ask Titus a question? So does it mean that now all the seedlings have been bought? Is that the impression?
Yeah. For now, they have agreed to take the seedlings for the two groups all. So we did a launching yesterday, and all the seedlings now, since yesterday, farmers have started coming in to pick it. So we are hoping that by the end of the week, the farmers will come in and pick everything.
So that's East Gonja, right?
That's East Gonja.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, East Gonja, as you do that, please ensure that you know what district assemblies can do with regards to picking these things and paying later. Let's ensure that as they take, we push to ensure that farmers or the groups get the money. I don't want a situation where they will take it, then the money doesn't come. It would have been probably not the best, but it would have been better to see the seedlings than the seedlings to go and then no money come. They will put it on you that you are probably going to sold it and you haven't brought the money. So please let the district manage it well.
Yeah, Doc, I think it's well noted. And this agreement was, together with the farmers, we all came together, then they were also part of the decision, and we made them to understand this is how the decision is. And the assembly have also promised that they also do their best to make sure that they will pay the monies back to the group.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear this one. I know Jirapa also did a similar arrangement, and other districts can also learn from it. If even they can trust the assembly, instead of keeping the seedlings, we can arrange so that at least the district can be a source of picking the seedlings and then ensuring that they get their money. If a little late, at least get the money. Abdul Mumin, please, you can take the floor. If he is delaying, please, Simon, you can also talk now.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to suggest that this is the beginning of the whole thing. So our expectations shouldn't be so high, 100 or over %. You will be facing with challenges at the beginning, but we know that with subsequent years, these things will not be so. And just like Doc, you have cautioned my colleague about the payments. It's one of the reasons why some of us are not able to dispose the seedlings to the assembly, because if you are not certain of the conditions and then they come and pick it, it may affect the next year or the subsequent year, because if there's delay in payment, means they will not be having money to buy the materials for next year. So we have done our best, and we are still doing it so that the program or the groups, it will be sustainable. So let's also bear in mind our expectations. Shouldn't be that the district are not doing anything about the sales of the seedlings. We are doing our best, but you know, the timing. Thank you very much.
Hello, good morning, sir. This is Abdul Moment representing Anton. With regards to the marketing, my director and my crop officer and we, the AES, we try all our possible best for the marketing. My director have approached the DC on several occasions and the MP and all the stakeholders, but we couldn't get any positive result. And then we've tried all means and then through public gathering and through our extension activities, but we couldn't get anybody to purchase the seedling. We have not been able to sell any single seedling, and that is our main challenge. So if we could do something about it next year or next coming and next year.
Edmond. Hello. Maybe Justice, maybe you can also talk. What's with Edmond?
Hello, good morning, Doc.
Good morning.
Hello.
Hello, Justice.
Hello.
Hello, Justice.
I'm having challenges. Yes, good morning, Doc.
Good morning. Please talk.
Hello. In fact, I'm having challenges with the network here. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Go ahead.
In fact, I'm having challenges with the network here. When the meeting started, I joined, and then later on, the link went off. I tried to join, but I was having challenges to join. So I just lost on the way out. So just now that I joined, and then I've seen that some of our colleagues are talking about the marketing. Hello.
Yeah, so we want you to share the experience of Sunyani West. What did you do? How are you able to sell off all the seedlings that you?
Okay. Our director negotiated with the contractor that the assembly gave the planning for export and rural development seedlings to. So they went into agreement, and then he added our seedlings to what the assembly bought. So now, as I'm talking, they've taken everything that we were able to raise. So we are now waiting for the money that will come. So that's what we were able to do, and then sell our seedlings.
That's nice. That's nice to know. Justice, also confirm for me, what was the percentage for your grafting?
Hello, Doc.
The grafting you did.
Yes, Doc.
I have.
Please come again.
What was your percentage for the grafting?
I'm having challenges with the network here.
Okay. So we will
percentage survival
okay.
of granted seedlings.
It's okay. I think we can maybe we can get him in another platform. Okay, so thank you very much. I think I have overspent 30 minutes of the time. Justice, if you can hear me, it's okay. I think we have taken note of what you did to ensure the 100% sales. I believe other districts can also have also taken note of what they can do. What I want to address is, as we are doing that, let's let the farmers understand what we are doing. Let's find all means to motivate them, not to demotivate them, for the purpose of ensuring that next year they will be willing to consider this activity next year. Until things are sold, it will be difficult for you to even go and lead them. As you all know, AEAs that were part of this process are key in ensuring that next year this continues. It is clear that Gasip will not be supporting in terms of financial support to the group again in the coming year. But we want to at least see that whatever we have done this year, we can do that in the coming year. I've seen a number of comments in the chat that I think I might not have answered some of them. If there's still burning, it can be sent to me later for me to address. But let me pick two of them. There was one that talks about the fencing. I think STK indicated that they still haven't gotten their fencing. Yes, you are right. Nobody have gotten their fencing yet. But there's communication. We try as much as possible to share communication with the district. And if you have gotten our last communication, we have indicated that the fencing will be done by Disengolf between the first 2 weeks of September. Yes, we agree it's late, but because of the procurement process. It's coming late. We want to let the directors and the officers in charge to make sure that whatever they are receiving for the fencing, and basically you'll be receiving 1 row of the shade net, or 1 row for each community, and 13 rounds of fencing, just the wire mesh to support the farmers. I know most of them, it may not be a needed implement now, but let's find a way to whether to install them now or keep them at the safe place so that it doesn't get to the point that when it's needed, it is stolen or it cannot be found. So like I said, all the districts will be receiving their fencing material and then the shade nets in the first 2 weeks, 9th to a week after, within that time. I've also seen a comment which I wish we could get a better platform to address this, which is coming from Abubakar Mohammed Lemsi. Going forward, production should be based on ready market because the seedlings are perishable and cannot be stored if not sold. This is a true fact, and we all know. In terms of market readiness, like most of you may be aware, before each of the districts were selected, there was a market survey done by MOFA to even see what can be done in each of the districts that we are working. The market, the marketability, the soil, viability for this kind of system before the 20 districts were selected. Indeed, not everything on paper sometimes works as planned for. And that is why we wanted to get the assurance of the district to at least support in the marketing of the goods. Whilst things delayed, if one district was able to sell everything, and I think it's not just Sunyani West that was able to sell everything. Mogduri is not online, but I know they also have sold everything. It goes to indicate that yes, if things were on the ground or some arrangements were done, even though the ceilings and the processes delayed, but we could have sold a good number of them. It is not too late, but it's not too far from being late. And for that reason, whatever we are doing now, in terms of talking to district, talking to stakeholders, let's put in a lot of energy now to be able to assure our farmers that what they have done and for what they will get a certificate for between 12th and 14th September, they didn't just do it in vain, but it's something that they can continue as a business. Finally, I did an analysis of doing nursery as a business, and I want you to do such an analysis. If seedlings are bought for 2 cedi, a seedling is bought for 2 cedi. At the moment, the district that we have supported, the groups that we have supported, whatever they will put into the investment to be able to get seedlings for 2 cedi, if they are able to do 1,000 seedlings, that will be about 20,000. If they are able to do a little more, I'm sure a lot of the places that we are working, they can get more than what they can get if they are doing maize in 1 acre. I want you to do the analysis well, and if you do it well, I'm not saying that we should all move into nursery, but as a support to what we are already doing as our maize fields, our conservation agriculture field, this is a big investment. This is a big business that these farmers don't need a large area to do it. They need a small area to be able to produce and get, if it's bought, and that is the point. If the market is there and if it's bought, they will have a lot of money, which can be beyond what they can get if they put in all their resources to do 1 acre of maize, soya, or cowpea or soya bean field. I want to thank all directors, all AEAs, every partner, every farmer who is online and has been part of this process. I know it has been challenging, I must admit, even from Gasip, from all the processes, from all the delays. But irrespective of all this, we are achieving some good results from some location, and we are anticipating to at least get a good number. I do admit that it's the first year, so we shouldn't be having so much big expectation, but at least in terms of expectation, we even exceeded our expectation. The only challenge we are having now is the marketing. Let's work on it. Thank you very much. And I'm sure if we don't meet on the period of the certification of the farmers, at least some of my team members or some of the team members from INEC, and if even you don't see us, try as much as possible to do it and share in your report how it was done. And then let's see how we can move forward. The presentation will be shared with you, and having told the consultant, you will be part of the review of the report. You'll be given 1 week when the report from the consultant comes. I will share with you. You'll be given 1 week. For those who are with us and are interested to know how this is reported, you'll be given 1 week to give us feedback on it, just like we have done a little bit today. Once again, thank you very much. This similar virtual session will continue next month. Next month, we may be having another session. We'll be probably talking to Center for No-Till or maybe JIDA on the activities. And I want to encourage you to also participate so that we can discuss what we are doing together in a single platform. Thank you very much. As we always do, we will get a closing prayer from another officer of mine. And then after that, we will take a group picture, a virtual group picture. So if we can on our cameras at this time around so that we can take a group picture. Thank you very much. You see, if you're online, are you online? If you're online, please prepare.
Yes, I'm online.
Yes, yeah. If we can pray with us. whilst all members try to on their camera like I've done. I'm here with my team, so Moro, please come and join me, so that after the closing prayer, we can take a good picture. You see, so you can pray for us. Please, let's work on our camera so that we can see our face.
Almighty Allah, we thank you for the opportunity to have this meeting. We thank you for the life of all those who have been able to join and for their ability to contribute to the discussion. May all that has been discussed by the team, may we be able to put it into action to move Gasip's activities forward and to benefit our target groups. This we ask in the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen. Amen. So, now I want to see our cameras. Diana, please, at least I think you are one of the few women. Can we see Diana? Okay, no, Rita, yes, nice to see you, Rita. Diana, we want to see you. Okay, so can we say cheese? Cheese. Cheese. Just a minute to take the picture.
That's fine. Hey, Diana, I can see you long time.
Okay, thank you very much. And may we have a nice week. Yes, the photo has been taken. I'll share the group picture with us soon. Yeah. Thank you and have a nice day.
Bye-bye.
Thank you too. Bye.
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 Bye.